Am I the idiot for calling the police on my fiancé? Last night my, male 35, fiancé, female 38, left in the evening to give a friend's son a ride back to his home. She implied she'd be home before 9. She left at around 7:45. 10:15 rolled around and she still wasn't home. I texted and she apologized to me, saying that her friend's son was actually in the next town over, maybe 30 minutes away, and she was coming home now. 11:45 rolled around and she still hadn't come home, so I called her to no answer. Texted her to no response. I was getting very upset. 12:30 rolled around and still no response, and no answer to my phone calls. I was extremely angry. 1:30 rolled around and my anger had completely transformed into worry. Not answering my calls and texts not read. Around 1:45 I called the police. I have always heard that the first 24 hours of someone being missing is the most important, so I didn't want to delay. I asked them to let me know if there had been any traffic accidents involving her car, and the operator told me that they would put out the word and send some cops to check along the route she would travel. I called all the hospitals in the area to check if she had been checked in, and I waited outside watching the road for her car for 3 hours, partially because I didn't want the kids to hear me on the phone with hospitals, and secondly because I was sick with worry. At 7 a.m. she came home. She apologized for being out and said she had no excuse. She was driving home and felt tired, like she was falling asleep at the wheel, so she pulled over to the side of the road to sleep. When she did that, she found that her brand new phone had stopped working. She says she napped anyway because it was the responsible thing to do, and then came home at 7 a.m. to bring the kids to school and get to work on time. I immediately called the police and told them that she had come home safely and gave them the case number and told them to stop searching, which they did. My fiancé brought the kids to school and left for work. I set out to start cleaning. Cleaning distressed me sometimes, and I got a call from a policeman asking where she worked. I told him, and asked why, and I was informed that it was their policy to check on the person's wellness after a missing person is found. I asked them to not go by her work but to give her a call instead. He said he couldn't promise. My fiancé is relatively new to her job. A police officer showed up and asked to speak with her. She is now enraged at me for calling the police and sending a cop to her work and making her look bad. She is saying I overreacted and that she wasn't missing and that I was punishing her for doing the responsible thing and not driving while drowsy. She is saying that she is never going to leave the house again except for work, because she is afraid I'm going to call the cops on her again. So did I overreact? Should I have waited 2 days like she suggests? Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot, I don't believe her story one bit. Driving a kid home and disappearing for the entire night is a massive red flag. How does she not even know where he lives when she starts to drive? How old is this kid? Pulling over and sleeping on the side of a road for a 30-minute drive is nuts. She is now turning this around to say she is the victim of your actions. Comment 2. I think your fiancé is getting railed 2 towns over my guy. Comment 3. Not the idiot, but you know that isn't the truth, right? Then the original poster responded with, I did ask her about why her brand new phone stopped working, and she eventually confessed she dropped it in a puddle. But when she got home it seemed to be working. Edit. I think this would be more believable if it had rained in the last few weeks. Edit 2. My fiancé has informed me that she was embarrassed, but the truth is that she dropped it in the toilet, not a puddle. Now for the update. First of all, thank you to those of you who offered kind words and solid advice. This update is likely to disappoint some of you, as it does me. My fiancé and I have been fighting solidly since before I posted my last thread. It's been exhausting. I called her out on her obvious lie and she fumed at how awful I was for calling her a liar. From then on it was as if she was falling down a smooth well, desperately clawing and grabbing at anything she could to blame me for as she went deeper and deeper. I'm not a perfect man, but in this particular situation, I was an angel, so she had nothing to grab onto. I did a lot of soul searching, and I made a call that most of you will hate. I decided to bury the hatchet. I love her very, very dearly. I had no proof of a lie, and I wasn't too concerned about what she was really up to anyway. Our relationship is open, so even if she fricked around, I didn't care much. She still fought with me though. The fight continued to the point where she broke up with me, but not really, which was a common tactic she had used before. I called her on it, and she still fought with me. I asked for space for a night so I could sleep off the exhaustion, and she got upset, and told me I was neglectful and selfish for not going to her and making up in person. I am stupid. I am aware of it. Even through all of this, I was apparently able to believe that what she said in emotion wasn't really her talking. Today I was having lunch. Money has been tight lately, for some reason weird, so I flipped through my wallet to find my credit card, which was missing. Well, you see where this goes. She had stolen it. She cited our desire to join lives together and merge finances, and that when I lent her my wallet once, she took it so she wouldn't have to bother me by asking again. This credit card is mine, under my name, and for emergencies only. She was using it for the last month and a half. While she has been decent enough to pay back some of it, there was still a $1,500 balance on it that hasn't been paid. She says that it's here just as much as mine and resents me calling her a thief. A lot of the uses were spent at ATMs for cash withdrawals and some interesting ones at the casino. Those of you who guessed gambling were probably right on the money. At that point, I admit I lost it. I am a very calm person, but there was only so much denial of reality that I could take. It's still blurry, but I said a lot of horrible things to her and am in the process of evicting her from my life. I am canceling everything that is in my name that she is a part of, including the new phone/line, canceling her car insurance, and reclaiming my car that I gave her, and she has trashed. Apparently I can handle lies, cheating and secrets, but who knew theft was my line? Learning experience. Now thinking back, I can identify lots of sketchy poop that my love goggles blinded me to, but there's a pretty strict character limit. Comment 1. Relationships are built on trust. Her going off the grid on you and lying about her return definitely make trust impossible. Good luck, OP. Watch out for a baby trap. Comment 2. So you confirmed she has a gambling addiction? Or are you assuming? It's not that I don't believe you. I definitely think she's been up to something behind your back. I'm just not convinced she's not cheating. I'm thinking it's gambling and cheating. All in all, I'm glad you are broken up with her for good. How is she taking the breakup? Are you willing to take her to small claims court to replace the stolen money? Then the original poster responded with, very convinced that it's a gambling addiction. No, I won't be going to court. I'm just putting this behind me and moving on. Now, for the next story, am I the idiot for refusing to lie for my wife? We have been together for 8 years. Things are usually good unless the in-laws are involved. There's a history of friction, and inevitably, my wife ends up between the two sides. We are buying a house. My step and my oldest mortgages, and they are hurting for money. They insisted that we do our mortgage through them. I refused because we don't want them in our personal business, and they seemingly understood. When we sold, the agent we used was an old friend of mine. 13 years ago, I asked her out, and long story short, nothing came of it. I made the best of it and counted her among my friends. I gave my wife the entire backstory, as well as asked her if this makes her uncomfortable for any reason. She said no, and that she appreciates me telling her. I don't assume anything and always make sure that my wife is aware of whom I associate with, or where I am. There are no trust issues, but we both believe in never hiding anything from one another. We are using her again for the house we are buying. My wife's stepsister does real estate as a side gig, nothing else, and lives rent-free under mom's roof. She has little experience, and what she does have is part-time. We wouldn't use her because inexperienced and unreliable, and we refuse to enable her. My wife has expressed confidence in my judgment that my friend would be a better fit. The in-laws insist that we use the stepsister. They say that family comes first, and that it would help with her children. Understandable. That stepsister is not the best fit for our family's best interest. On this, my wife and I are in lockstep. My wife told father-in-law that the agent is my cousin because he was guilt-tripping her about the importance of using family. He is notorious for doing this to manipulate her, and this has resulted in clashes between us, because her default is to let her dad walk all over her, whereas mine is to assert boundaries. Father-in-law agreed to come to provide his insight for the inspection, as he is a builder by trade. I can easily see this coming up in a casual chat. So, you are cousins? I put my foot down with my wife and said in no way will I go along with an outright lie. That's a boundary for me, one my wife knows well. She insists that she would have backed me up. I said I would not ask her to go along with a bold-faced lie save perhaps to save someone's life or some sort of Robin Hood scenario. I added that I had zero input in what she told her dad. I will tell them the truth to a level of detail I see fit. I have nothing to hide, but they are incredibly nosy. I could see them thinking I have ulterior motives. Personally, I don't care what they think. All this apart from the fact that I would expose that my wife lied. At heart, my wife doesn't want to hurt his feelings, and I deeply respect that. I see where she is coming from. However, the line got crossed when she involved me in this untruth. She wants me to play along just to keep the peace, but I refuse to do so. Am I the idiot? To note, the agent is not my cousin. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot, you are right, and you should not be telling a lie, especially one that you'd have to keep up long term like this. Though you do sound like you could be a little more sympathetic here with your wife, and it sounds like she's in a difficult spot. Then the original poster responded with, I had to keep my post within the 3,000 character limit. Truth is, I do get where she's coming from, and when we talked I let her know I'm not taking this stance out of a lack of sympathy. I think it is absolutely crappy that her dad manipulates her like this. I thought he had grown out of it in the 8 years we've been together. Comment 2. Not the idiot, but this is a prime example of why people, your wife, in this case, shouldn't give excuses when they decline. No, we are using someone else, would have been a better answer. Now for the update. The inspection came and went. The good news, there was no drama. I warned the agent about what happened and my wife filled her in on the family backstory. She was very understanding. Father-in-law did not bring stepmile, but did bring up the cousin thing. As expected, he waited until I was not in the room. He seemed convinced he had met her at a family gathering before, lol, and she even played along. It turned out for the best, because there was no drama. I did not get put in a position of being a liar myself or letting the cat out of the bag on my wife, and there were no hurt feelings on the other side either. That's not to say this won't come up again down the road. My wife is actually more resolved now to rip the band-aid off. Comment 1. Not the idiot, but your wife needs her own backbone. She should have told her father that you were not using her stepsister. End of story. Her father's reaction is irrelevant. Comment 2. Why is your wife's family at the inspection anyway? Then the original poster responded with, her dad has been a builder his whole life, so his input has a lot of weight. Stepmother-in-law usually hovers nearby. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for not wanting people at our pool? My fiancé and I own a house with a pool in the backyard. His brother, Jay, had asked the day before if he and his family, wife plus 3 kids, could come over on Sunday to swim after one of the kids' sports games, which was at a park close by to us. Now, my fiancé and I own a business together that requires work from home, on Sundays. Everyone that we know is aware of this, including his brother. I voiced my opinion that I felt it was weird for people to be at our house while we were working in the basement, but my fiancé assured me that it would just be chill. He said it's normal for families to use people's pools even if they aren't home. So, we let them come thinking that they would swim for maybe an hour then leave. But it wasn't just them. Fiancé's parents also came, we figured they would, but the kicker is that Jay also invited 2 of his friends plus their partners and their kids as well. We do know these people, but both fiancé and I were not aware of this beforehand. So now it's a full-on party in our backyard while we are working in the basement. I became very annoyed that they did not only invite themselves but some of their friends as well. It made me feel guilty that I couldn't be in my own backyard to host people because I was working. It also felt like they were just using the house and didn't really care about seeing us, the homeowners. Not to mention, the house was a complete mess. We had a busy Friday and Saturday, and I didn't bother cleaning much before because I figured it would just be Jay's family. Everyone was here from 1 p.m. till 7 p.m. We finished work around 3 p.m., at which time the fiancé put on his swim trunks to join them outside. I got in a pretty bitter mood from it all and stayed inside. I didn't say hello to anyone because I figured they weren't even here to see me, just my pool. I did some laundry and some cleaning up, and I did end up seeing a few people who were coming inside to use the washrooms. I said hi and tried to make some small talk, but I really wasn't happy. Fiancé came in and said that I was creating an awkward/unwelcoming atmosphere by not being outside. I told him I never planned to have a party today, so I was just carrying on doing what I originally had planned, which was laundry and cleaning. Fiancé keeps saying that I was rude for not joining them outside after work. He also says things like, the pool is meant to be used, and that it's family time. Am I the idiot? Edit. Answering those who have asked, we bought this house together completely 50/50ths. There's no updates, so here's a few comments. Not the idiot. But you and your fiancé need to have a serious conversation about this. It is guaranteed not to be a one-time thing, and you clearly have very different expectations about your home life. I hope you're prepared for unexpected and unwanted guests for the rest of your life. Your fiancé clearly thinks your home is a community center, and you clearly think it is a private place. Neither approach is wrong, but they are entirely incompatible. Comment 2. Not the idiot. But you and your fiancé need to have a serious conversation about this. It is guaranteed not to be a one-time thing, and you clearly have very different expectations about your home life. I hope you're prepared for unexpected and unwanted guests for the rest of your life. Your fiancé clearly thinks your home is a community center, and you clearly think it is a private place. Neither approach is wrong, but they are entirely incompatible. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day. Am I the idiot for telling my best friend I'm moving out as soon as possible? My BFF and I have been planning to get an apartment since December of 2021. We paid the application fee and the deposit to hold the apartment, but problems started to arise right before we moved into our apartment. She did her taxes, blew her cash loan of $500 on the tax card, and didn't have enough money for the deposit and rent. She told me to ask my boyfriend to move, and so I did. Long story short, she still didn't have enough, so my boyfriend and I had to pay the rest. $3,030 in total, and she only paid $704. Ridiculous. She even had to call people to borrow money, because she spent so much. Before we moved in, I had taken us to AITA to buy things, and guess who ended up paying for most of the necessities? My boyfriend and I. Almost $600 worth of stuff for the kitchen, bathrooms, and bedrooms. The same thing can be said about the cleaning supplies and groceries, which are insane. To this day, my boyfriend and I still pay for a majority of the groceries. I got into a car accident last month, got 5 stitches in my chin, a swollen wrist, and unfortunately lost my unborn baby as a result. Oh boy, was she glad to hear that, because she had been so negative ever since I told her about my boyfriend and I were TTC. All she said was, "I'm so sorry, maybe now you can get on birth control." Words can't express how infuriated I was. She was more upset when I said I was 2 months along, saying, I quote, "You guys will struggle without me, have no money, and no life." She also said her dreams of having her own place are crushed. I think she was more concerned about not being able to borrow from us, since our money would be going to our baby. Cruel and selfish? I know. I decided it would be nice to adopt a cat or 2 to distract myself, but she instantly claimed ownership before I even adopted one. "I'm by myself and lonely in my room. You have your boyfriend, so you're okay, but I'm not." Blah blah blah. Who paid for that? My boyfriend and I. Insurance and adoption fees. I'm sick and tired of putting forth so much, and she just takes advantage of everything. She constantly asks my boyfriend for money. I told him to say no because she already owes him and she owes me too, blowing her money on $200 wigs. She complains about her sex life to the both of us while she shuffles different men in the house every other week, and blasts her music in the morning at 6 o'clock while we're still sleeping since she's an early bird. My last straw was her complaining about us not taking out the trash on her time the other day. The trash was half full and we're trying to use up everything we can because we keep getting financially strained because of her. I will have a conversation with her about it once she comes home. I don't really feel like dealing with the gaslighting, guilt tripping, or anger from her right now, but it needs to be done. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. Honestly, if she isn't helping pay rent, you could just kick her out. No. Do you have an agreement for this? Then the original poster responded with, "We do, but on the lease agreement, we signed off on all of us being equally responsible if any rent payments or utilities were late." Then another commenter asked, "How have you been putting up with this for so long? Why isn't she already out of the damn house?" Then the original poster responded with, "It's been 3 months since we've moved into the apartment, and she's already gone broke several times. If I opt to break the lease now once our new apartment is approved, she will be homeless and without a place to stay." Comment 2. Not the idiot. So very sorry about the loss of your unborn child. Leave as soon as possible and make sure you get your deposit back, else you know where it is likely to go. I'd also suggest taking the cats, if everything to do with it / them is in your name, as she won't be able to for them. Now for the update. Hello? I had posted 2 months ago about my experience with my BFF/roommate, and I wanted to say thank you for all the support and reassurance from everyone. About 2 weeks ago, my boyfriend and I arranged a new place for us to live for the time being, until we had the all clear to move out the rest of our stuff. We had tried to have a conversation with our roommate, because she recently had waited 17 days to pay her portion of the utility bill. I gave her plenty of reminders, and guess what? She didn't pay for it. Again. My boyfriend was done with this, so he decided to talk to her about it. She got defensive, stated that she had a lot on her mind, she's human, and that she's older, so she needs more reminders. She also took stuff out of our room while we were out on vacation. My boyfriend and I had gotten 2 blink motion cameras to put in our room since we hadn't changed the lock to our bedroom door. My boyfriend and I were spending some time with my family at dinner, and we got a notification of movement in our room. We look, and there she is taking stuff being recorded. As soon as we got back, we changed the locks. We had talked to our landlord about the situation and the environment in our apartment being hostile, including at work. She understood, and gave us an offer that if we can all agree to vacate, she will terminate our lease for us. We cancelled the Wi-Fi as well since she hasn't been paying for that. We also had stopped carpooling with her to work as well, and that really enraged her as well. I had contacted her the night we moved out, and tried to have a conversation about why we left, discussing the issues. Lying to people about us, not paying bills on time, treating my boyfriend and I like money bags, using us for our cars, not respecting our privacy, going in our rooms without permission, etc. She became defensive again, said I was leaving her homeless before the rent was due, we had already paid our shares of the rent for August, and that she is baffled at how despicable we are acting. After that, she's been making our lives at work a bit uncomfortable. She's been cursing at my boyfriend every time she walks by and has been spreading rumors about us, which I told him to ignore. It just shows how immature she is and not willing to take any responsibility for the problems. Nonetheless, this is a victory for us. I'm glad we've been given an out by our landlord. She has been super nice to us throughout all of this. Comment 1. You need to start documenting her workplace behavior and report her to HR, if you have one. If needed, also document the facts about your previous living situation, theft, bill non-payment, etc. I'd leave the carpool part out since that could be left to interpretation. Then the original poster responded with, yes, we included all of that in our report. Our company doesn't send HR to investigate though, they have a separate team that investigates these matters. I would provide more information, but I'm afraid she'll come across this post, since she's on Reddit a lot. Comment 2. Holy crap, that landlord is so nice. If she keeps up her behavior at work, you might have to get HR involved. Cursing at coworkers, while tempting in many cases, is generally frowned upon. If she makes any comments about your sex life, you can probably get her for sexual harassment. Either way, she isn't going to get far in life. Good luck with everything. I hope you got your cats back now. For the next story. Am I the idiot for telling my mom I hope the police find her? My little brother, who is 7, recently lost his iPad. We've tried Find My, it won't connect. We've turned the house upside down looking for it. It's not the first time he's lost or damaged his devices, so my mom's response caught me completely off guard. I was babysitting my brother a few days before he lost his iPad and my mom accused me of stealing it. I was shocked and laughed, pointing out that my brother still had the iPad when she returned from her errands that day. But she only grew angrier, insisting that I had it. She went into my room and made a complete mess, throwing my things on the floor, pouring out cabinet contents, quite literally turning everything upside down to try and find the iPad I supposedly stole. Like I had been telling her, it wasn't in there. She told me I had to clean the mess up, and I was starting to get upset. I asked why she was so convinced I took it, and she said it's because I have a history of doing these things. When I asked her what she meant, she brought up the time I threw away a perfectly good iPad. What? While I don't exactly remember it myself, I've heard the story many times. When I was 5, I had gotten frustrated over a movie buffering and decided my iPad was useless, throwing it out in the trash. By the time my mom realized, it was gone. I take full responsibility for being a dumb kid, but that was years ago. I'm now 14 going on 15. I asked if she really thought I hadn't matured since I was 5, she yelled back. Yes, you clearly haven't if you're doubting me like this. She spent hours trying every punishment she could think of to get me to confess where I hid the iPad. But I told her the same thing every time. I didn't take it, so how could I know? She eventually threatened to call the police on me, To which I said, "Go ahead. I won't be the one paying the fine for wasting their time." My mom was really upset by that comment, crying on the phone for days about how she's trying her best and how I want her to be robbed of money we don't have. I feel really bad. I know she has trauma around losing money, and she really wants to avoid having to buy a new iPad. My stepdad and extended family think I'm being selfish for wishing that on her, but my friends think I'm in the right. I want an unbiased opinion, so Reddit, am I the idiot? Edit. Thank you all for the kind words. I wasn't expecting all this support. I'm trying my best to respond to everything and all your questions. I'll get to everyone after school. Edit 2. Thank you again for the kind words, but I'm not a she. Edit 3. My biological dad isn't in my life. He's not an option to move in with. Edit 4. My family supports my mom and CPS has failed me twice in the past. If I can get tangible evidence, I'll go to my teachers for help. But right now my plan is to keep saving and move out on my 18th. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. Your mom is being toxic. UTF blames the kid for something they did years ago at the age of 5. Your response was reasonable, and your mom knows it, but she just wants to be a victim, so she keeps on twisting the narrative to make you the one to blame. Please don't let yourself believe that. Comment 2. Not the idiot. LOL what? You didn't take the iPad, what more does she want? You have told her repeatedly in a civil manner, and she's convinced you took it. I think warning her about the police fine is actually working in her favor to perhaps sober her up from whatever stupor she was in. Now for the update. First, thank you all for letting me know my mom's behavior was wrong. I'm still coming to terms, but seeing everyone shocked at her reaction really made me realize that she's not treating her kids right. Ha. Secondly, many of you suggested my mom was projecting and knew where the iPad was. So I did some digging and found the iPad in her bag. It had been factory reset, and the case was gone, so I have a feeling she was going to sell it. It was possible my brother put it there, but considering she uses the bag multiple times a day, she should have known it was there either way. I looked into things some more but couldn't find anything, so I just told myself my brother put it there for whatever reason and lied, and my mom somehow missed it. 7 years old do dumb things, right? I did tell her I found it. I got in trouble for snooping through her things and making no apology because what you said to me was completely out of line. As for the iPad itself, she's convinced I had it and put it in her bag to get myself out of trouble. She never did call the cops though, so that's a plus. I'm starting to doubt my brother had any involvement, especially with the iPad being reset. I'll have to do some more investigating, but either my mom plans to sell it, she still hasn't given it back to my brother, or she really does think it's me and my stepdad was behind it. Again, there is the possibility I mentioned earlier of my brother doing it, but that could be denial speaking. I'm pretty upset at the idea she'd punish me for something she was behind the whole time. Comment 1. Jesus OP. I'm sorry and I hope you can get out soon. From your update, she blames the stepdad too? How is he handling all of this? Can you get him on your side? Then the original poster responded with, he's not really talking about it. He's just saying my mom is the one involved, so whatever. Comment 2. Yeah, there's zero chance your brother had anything to do with this. She's either trying to make a few bucks and making things up to deflect any blame, or just straight up manufacturing excuses to be angry with you. Or both. She sounds nuts. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for correcting my half-sister about my parentage and saying that my mom's husband isn't my dad? I, male 17, am the kid of divorced parents. I live with my mom, her husband Steve, and their daughter Molly, 5. My dad lives halfway across the country and is in no financial position to look after a kid, which is why my mom has full custody. In spite of that, my dad and I are really close. We have daily video calls and send each other cards and presents on holidays and birthdays. And if it was feasible, I would totally rather live with him. That is all to say, I don't need another father figure to take his place. Anyway, the other day, Molly referred to Steve as me and my name as daddy, and I corrected her that he's her daddy, not mine. Molly looked dismayed and asked me what I meant and said, "Does that mean you're not my brother?" I explained to her that I have a different dad and that her dad is my mom's husband, but that doesn't mean he's my dad. I reassured her that I'm still her brother and I love her and yada yada. Steve shot me a death glare and my mom just looked sad. Molly seemed to accept my answer and we carried on with what we were doing. Later, my mom took me aside and told me she was sad that I hadn't accepted Steve yet, and called me petty and cruel for pushing your issues on a little kid. She said that, like it or not, Steve is her husband, so that makes him my father figure, and that I need to find room in your heart for both of your dads. I told her that Steve is not, and never will be, my dad, and told her that just because you hate my real dad doesn't mean I have to throw him away like you did. I was worried I would lose my temper even more than I already had, and left the situation to cool off. In the time since, Molly has been asking me incessant questions about my dad and why my mom left him. She slept with her gym buddy, but I'm not going to tell Molly that until she's older. For now, the story is that my mom just fell out of love with my dad. Steve has been avoiding me like the plague and being passive-aggressive when we have to interact, and my mom has been bugging me to apologize to him. She's also been trying to find excuses for me to skip my video calls with my dad, but I'm not going to ever do that. Still, I'm worried I may have opened a can of worms I won't be able to close. Am I the idiot? There's no update, so here's a few comments. Not the idiot. Kids are smarter than adults give them credit for. She wasn't too young to learn that you have different dads, and will grow into a person who appreciates that you're willing to be honest with her. I grew up a child of divorced parents, and was always quick to correct anyone who called my stepfather my dad. It's just what you do, because you know what your relationship is to people. Comment 2. Not the idiot. And for once on this sub, we have an evil stepdad story, lol. In all seriousness, you have no obligation to accept anyone as your dad if you don't want to. All you did was tell your sister the truth, a truth she was going to find out anyway, and I think you did it in a very respectful and gentle way. Your mom trying to force you to connect with her husband and trying to drive a wedge between you and your real dad is concerning, and her husband's issue might be that your relationship with your dad is interfering in their perfect picket fence life and reminding them of your mom's past cheating. Good luck, you're going to need it. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day. Am I the idiot for calling my sister out for putting me on a blind date and lying to both of us about it? To cut a very long story short, my sister put me on a blind date with a wonderful woman. I agreed to it reluctantly but was pleasantly surprised on said date, as she was pretty much my type and it was the best date I had been on in years. Here's the issue. The woman is 22, I'm 43. Now this wouldn't have been an issue if we had just discussed this on the first date, but foolishly we didn't. For some reason this conversation didn't come about for 3 months after the fact. Just for some context, the blind date was on Skype because of the current pandemic, and we only got to meet properly a few weeks ago. Nevertheless, I think due to being in lockdown, we both enjoyed having someone to talk to. So where does my sister come into it? At no point did my sister ever mention the age gap was this big. When she said younger, I was presuming 30s, not barely out of high school. On the other hand, my sister had told the woman in question that I was in my 30s, not 40s. My sister is 33, so I presume she just thought we would be closer in age. Anyway, when this revelation came about recently, I was seething and had it out with my sister for matching me with someone completely inappropriate, and for lying to both me and this woman she claims to be a friend. She can't see anything wrong with it because as far as she's concerned, we're both adults and we've been doing well for the past few months. Not to mention that I should have asked myself and not presumed. My issue is the principle. You can't lie to people like that, especially as I don't date very often anymore after my wife passed. She claimed she only did it because she knew I would have said no otherwise. So am I the idiot for having a go at her, or should I just be grateful for her kindness? Edit, just to clarify, the woman I've been dating does pass for her late 20s, something even she herself confirms. I have only met her in person once, and the vast majority of the time we only called on the phone or texted due to our jobs having hectic schedules. There was no conversation about our childhoods or anything which led either of us to believe the age gap was this large. And just to make it clear, I'm not remotely comfortable with this gap and my sister knew this. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. That's bonkers to me. Like dating with an age gap is certainly doable, but a 20-year difference means you two are at completely different stages in life and maturity. How did she not see that age would be an issue? Comment 2. No idiots here. Age must not have been as big an issue as you thought if it took 3 months to figure it out. Your preconceived notions were clearly wrong. I understand why you're upset, given your history and expectations. But the way everything played out suggests that your sister was right about how you could hit it off, and that age wasn't as big of a factor as you presumed it to be. Should your sister have been more clear? Maybe. Seems like it could fall into the category of family covering each other's blind spots. How about actually talking to this person about how you feel about kids and marriage relative to the age gap instead of making those decisions for her? She's an adult and gets a say in her own life. Just because it's less common doesn't mean it can't work. Though if you enter into it now expecting it to fail, it certainly will. Now for the update. So I have had quite a few people asking me for an update, which was very thoughtful, and I thought it would just be easier to share in case anyone else wished to know. First of all, thank you so much for the support and love. It really did help, and made me feel very welcomed. Ultimately, I stuck to my guns and broke things off. Many of you asked how on earth I could have gone all of that time without knowing her age. Well, that was because she knew my age and initially lied to me. Apparently she and my sister had already had a conversation about my age, and how it wouldn't be an issue for her. She then asked my sister if I knew, and my sister said, and I quote, "Just play along." When I found out about this, I just had enough from both of them and left them to their own devices. It has been about a month and my sister and I are simply not speaking. She tried to call me and tell me that this was for my own good, but I just let her get on with it. I'm not necessarily mad at either of them, but I'm just done with them. The feelings I felt for the woman were more or less manufactured because she put on a persona which she knew I would be attracted to. Although it has been some time, I'm still exhausted by the whole situation, so I would prefer to keep my distance from the two of them. Nevertheless, thank you so much to those who replied and checked up on me. It meant a lot. For now I will just keep going on my own, but these things happen. Reddit and Twitter did prove that there were some decent people out there. Not necessarily saying the woman in question isn't decent, I just question her approach to this particular situation. Oh, and to those saying, "A male widow is a widower." I'm very much aware of that. But after years of saying it, and having foreign relatives not knowing the difference between the two, I stopped caring, as they both meant the exact same thing: a person who had lost their spouse. Comment 1. Your 43 and 22-year-old women are actively lying in order to date you. I mean, this sounds great to me. There's been no mention of unsavory money plots, and you enjoyed dating her prior to learning about a minor detail. No one says you have to marry her down the road. It seems like you're just intentionally trying to make yourself miserable at this point. Comment 2. I'm so sorry you were lied to like this. How could either of them think you could build a relationship on deceit? I'm glad you're doing better now, and TBH, not speaking to your sister until she understands. Apologies and you are ready is absolutely justified. I'm glad this hasn't wrecked your opinion of all people. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for asking my best friend to stop treating me as his wife? I, female 19, met my best friend Lucian, male 19, at HS. I really liked him at 16, and when I confessed he said he was gay. I accepted it and moved on. But since we really got along together, we stayed friends. Fast forward to some time, we got into the same college, we do everything together, and even have the same friend group. He starts referring to me as the missus and the wife. Later on he becomes jealous of any guy I'm with. And the most recent incident happened when a mutual friend asked me in front of Lucian if I still liked Lucian. I said no, it was 3 years ago, I moved on. Lucian became awfully quiet and said, "Well, yes, of course, like everyone." TBH, it felt weird, but I didn't say anything at the moment until another friend, later on, mentioned to me that she was surprised we weren't dating. Most of our friends know he is gay, but those who don't assume we were together because of comments such as, "I can't, you know, the missus won't let me," or, "You should talk about this with the wife." At first it was funny, because he was gay, but now people who I'm interested in won't date me because they think I'm trying to cheat on Lucian. So I told him about this and he blew up and said that he was flattered. I still thought we could be together, but he wasn't interested. He, later on, insisted that I was making too many conjectures and stuff, at which I simply said, "Stop saying I'm your wife, you freaking moron." Some friends think that I'm overreacting, and most of them simply think that he should respect that I don't want to be associated with him romantically. Update. So I read most of the comments, though I didn't reply because I truly didn't think there was anything to say. I showed this post to Lucian, which seemed the only honest attempt at recovering our friendship. Here's some backstory. When I confessed I was a messy 16 years old, so naturally I asked my friend to tell him through text. At which he said he didn't see me that way. I was super embarrassed, and didn't talk to him until one day he said something like, "Well, I'm gay, that's why I said no." It was fine, I understood, and we moved on. But now Lucian said that back then he didn't feel comfortable rejecting me and he wasn't gay in the first place. So yeah? He apologized for that and said that he was bi, but that he couldn't deal with a relationship at the time and didn't want to lose me. I was though I'm embarrassed to yell I love her back in his "I'm sorry, okay," and he thought that was the only way we could still be friends. He said that he wanted to be with me. I said that it would be a bit weird and he offered to go on a date. So that's what we're doing. LMAO, this is weird, but I'm young, so frick it. Thanks to everyone who replied and made me see things from a different perspective. Final update. The date was fun, but I don't see him that way anymore. He understood and now we've decided we won't be roomies anymore, so no catastrophic ending as you wanted nor a happy ending as some hoped. I mean, he did lie to me for 3 years, which is something that a lot of people pointed out. I told him I needed time to settle into the idea and he said that it was fine. Like, what was he supposed to say, LMAO? He stopped calling me his wife, and he said that he was coming to terms with his sexuality. In an IG story. It was kinda cringe tbh. This is the final update because I didn't intend for it to blow up, but I'm a people pleaser, so yeah. I'm still young, not hot, but I shower regularly so something good might come by. Comment 1. Not the idiot. While he might be gay, he wants you to stay around. He wants to live his life like he wants and wants you around because he is comfortable and feels good with you around. He knows exactly what he is doing. I would correct him each and every time. Comment 2. Not the idiot. You need to go low contact, or just cut him off because he's keeping you from finding a partner and being happy. He doesn't own you and he's acting like you're his property. Now for the update. I received some messages from people asking how everything was and I decided to make an update because a lot has happened. First, the date was bad. I can finally say it without regrets. I couldn't kiss him, we didn't get intimate. AITA was weird and uncomfortable. LMAO. We decided he was moving out of the apartment, but in the end he stayed. Everything was okay, until his birthday 3 days ago. Yes, he's a Leo, but so am I. He invited a bunch of people he knows I don't like, but okay, whatever, his party I guess. But it turns out he wanted to spin the bottle. And when I refused he said, "Oh, so you don't even talk to me, now you straight up refuse to spend time with me?" And like everyone thought he was gay, so it was weird. The thing is, frick him. He lied. He made me feel like poop, and now that it's convenient to like me or date, or whatever the frick, he thinks it's okay for him. To be honest, well, some things shouldn't be communicated at all. So he's moving out for now, and I'm starting a whole new year of college without most of my friends. They took his side, and without the person I loved the most. Comment 1. As someone who was tied for years to a man who said he didn't love me back but manipulated me for attention and emotionally abused me when I tried to see other people. Drop this guy entirely, even as a friend. This kind of behavior is disgusting and him doubling down on it is a big red flag. Can guarantee he will only continue with it in the future. Comment 2. Some people suck. Some people don't. Some people suck sometimes and don't at other times. It doesn't have anything to do with chromosomes or presented gender. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for not attending my brother's child-free wedding because I don't want to get a sitter? My 25F brother, 20M, is getting married to his fiancée, 19F, in 2 weeks, which we just found out over the weekend. They are getting married on her father's estate, and the reception will be there as well. I don't really interact with his fiancée much, but she seems nice and makes my brother happy, so good for them. They let us know that the wedding would be child-free as well, which is entirely their choice. However, as much as it hurts, I don't think I am going to be attending. My daughter, too, has recently been diagnosed with epilepsy, which I have also dealt with most of my life, so I know this gets worse before it gets better. We are going through tests, medication changes, etc. The venue is over 3 hours away and I am completely uncomfortable leaving her for that long. I let my brother know this and he was hurt, and said that I am punishing them for having a child-free wedding, and they are entitled to do so. I said he is absolutely entitled to do so, but they gave little notice, and he can't get mad when people put their children first, especially when they are dealing with medical issues. He said I should just get a sitter and I told him absolutely not. I am not comfortable doing that with everything going on. He said I was being an idiot, and sorry, the world doesn't revolve around your kid. My parents understand my decision. His fiancée thinks I am being a complete idiot as well. Am I the idiot? Edit. Husband and I are still together. Because of his job, he will be away at the time of the wedding. There's no updates, so here's a few comments. Soft, you're the idiot. There are definitely ways around this if you really wanted to go. You could get a hotel near the venue and have a friend watch your daughter there so you're really close by. You could only go to the ceremony and skip the reception if you're not gone long. There are bound to be other options if you're willing to actually look for them. You do have a bit of time to make arrangements and have a plan in place if you truly wanted to go and it was important to you. Instead, you immediately jump to, no, I'm not going. So yeah, you're a bit of an AH, and you not going is something that I don't think your brother and his future wife will ever get past. Comment 2. No idiots here. They have the right to make a wedding child-free. You have the right to not attend. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.